Online education has been an option for students for nearly 3 decades. However, it is often critiqued for lacking rigor, being profit-centered, not conducive to quality learning, and missing those aspects that only a brick-and-mortar institution can provide, such as social connectedness. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic thrust many grounded institutions into online education. After some initial difficulties, many institutions found their footing, and even though many are currently returning to a traditional in-person model, some are maintaining the online option as many students desire to remain online. Post-pandemic, online education is likely to remain an emphasis in higher education. However, online education still presents a deficit in connectedness, a key component of psychological health and motivation. As educators at an online institution built on a model of teaching through engagement, TTE, we offer some best practices in creating connectedness that have shown the most efficacy with our students. These practices are also equity-driven. The figure here shows an example of how COVID seems to be affecting diverse college students and how they feel about the worth of their degree. This could be due to it being online or the quality of teaching. However, if they are online, it is something we can control with best practices.
To be equity-driven, we think that by creating equal opportunities and equal resources, we can strive toward equity. Equity is critical for connectedness and relatedness as it acknowledges students' lived realities while also providing opportunities for educators to be flexible in how they teach their students. It recognizes each person comes to their educational experience with different sets of circumstances and needs. In so doing, we try to enable engagement. The teaching through engagement model recognizes equity and allows for a dynamic to be developed that is considerate of the student. Students need to see your face and hear your voice to feel connected, according to Patterson, 2019. Relatedness, according to DC and Ryan, is a sense of attachment to other people and a sense of belonging amongst other people. Feelings of closeness and belonging to a social group, access to both help and support. Feelings of relatedness are enhanced when individuals are respected and cared for by others and are part of an inclusive environment. Alternatively, feelings of relatedness are undermined by competition with others, cliques, and criticism from others.
There are several ways to engage students asynchronously and synchronously in ways that are not only engaging, but are relatable as well as equitable. The very decision to meet students where they need to be met using multimodal ways of engaging is at the heart of our conception of equity-driven in an online environment. The ways we will discuss are not discrete and can and should be used in an integrated fashion. For example, providing video feedback while also holding virtual co-working sessions so students can ask about the video feedback. Video feedback on assignments or manuscript reviews allows a professor to summarize or talk through the feedback while inserting comments, tracking changes simultaneously. We suggest that the professor's face be included in the corner of the screen on one of the top edges. This facial and written feedback provides humanized feedback with the facial expression and tone of voice. The students can then hear the professor's tone and see their mannerisms as they type the feedback. Thus, the cold written feedback, which is often heard by students as harsh and critical, can be softened by the professor's verbal dialogue and accompaniment. The professor can upload each video feedback to a YouTube channel as a private or unlisted video, which only the student can access. In doing so, the student can explore and discover other content that the professor may be sharing on the YouTube channel.
Indeed, video tutorials can also be hosted on the same YouTube channel or other hosting service that you may be using. Such tutorials are extremely efficient and useful to the professor and to the students. By taking the time to script and record tutorials, the professor saves tremendous time and increases access and prowess of information that is often repeated across students. Lectures, helpful hints, or directions for addressing assignment guidelines, or tutorials walking students through sections of a dissertation can be made publicly available and serve to replicate the professor's message endlessly across students. Such videos need to be well crafted and should be updated and modified per feedback and change. YouTube or podcast shows can be hosted similarly to provide other types of dialogic content. For instance, the presenters host interviews with dissertation chairs and students who have recently completed their dissertation. A similar show, Driven to Doctorate, for example, humanizes dissertation chairs, providing a behind-the-curtain discussion for students to watch to understand and find wisdom related to the dissertation process. The audio from Driven to Doctorate is then presented in podcast form under the same branding. It is apropos then that the second pro tip be to spend a little bit of time creating or purchasing simple graphics to improve the student experience with the content. Be optimistic and forward-thinking with your videos, imagining that the public ones will be viewed hundreds, if not thousands of times over the years. We've also found virtual certificates to be simple but significant motivators for students. We give an unofficial PhD finished certificate on the day of their completed defense. We often show the certificate to the student during a screen share in our initial meetings, as if to say to the student, "It's yours, come and get it, I believe in you." Additionally, we have certificates celebrating finishing each dissertation chapter, and more personalized awards that celebrate any student achievement, such as getting unstuck, longest literature review, or working super fast. That can be easily created and emailed to students. In a doctoral journey that often feels like a seemingly endless, iterative process, markers of progress, albeit virtual, often tell the student that you have noticed their effort and success along the way. These small tokens of acknowledgement are wonderful and are often framed or stuck to the family refrigerator. With the help of YouTube, you can use Canva, webcam, low-cost video software to improve the personal and professional framing of the content. So spend time to create or buy reusable elements, logos, graphics, animations, audio introductions, and salutations. Dress professionally. Buy a pair of box lights and a ring light to illuminate yourself, and modify your background to enhance the student engagement experience.
Those were several ways to provide asynchronous engagement. Now we will discuss some synchronous ways that can also be used in tandem with asynchronous. Open office hours can be offered weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly for students in courses and students who their professor is supporting as a dissertation chair or committee member. These sessions offer access to the professor to ask questions, get clarification, or simply say hi. The opportunity for the professor and students to engage allows rapport building and opportunity to be known off the page as actual humans with real feelings and real personalities, which can attenuate what would otherwise be conflicts and tension-related feedback, grading, and several other emotional processes within the doctorate. Open office hours also allow students to engage synchronously with one another to build community and camaraderie. Students often exchange contact information and build relationships that might not otherwise occur at online institutions. In my particular case, my students and I have also discovered common interests outside of the academic, such as popular television shows.
Virtual co-working sessions also allow question and answer and community building opportunities like open office hours, but the goal differs slightly. In these sessions, we often have a scheduled time or send out a spontaneous email to tell students that we will be working via Zoom if they wish to join. To feel connected and have the professor readily available to bring their own work and sit with us, often in silence, while we all work on our individual academic tasks. Interruptions to the workflow are expected, but can be accommodated to some degree. For instance, Topia is one of the many online meeting environments where students can be in a virtual world with a professor and other students. Based on the proximity of their avatar to the professor's avatar, they can engage, listen, and discuss, or remain in silence at a distance in the virtual space from the professor and perhaps another student discussing an issue that is not relevant to them. Thus, they can remain focused on their tasks while still feeling surrounded by peers and their professor. While virtual co-working does have downsides, it offers accountability and connectedness to the professor and peers. Pro tip, Be prepared for virtual co-working to not be as productive as working alone.
One-on-one video calls are, of course, the most engaging and focused form of guidance, as well as the most personal and focused. They require the most time and energy due to the one-at-a-time approach to student engagement. We recommend using them in initial meetings to build rapport and during meetings focused on student-specific issues such as student confusion regarding feedback. It is also advantageous to use software that can record the meetings. The student can be provided a recording so they can compare it to their notes or review it to get clarification. Recording also provides a safety net for the professor who may be concerned of being accused of something inappropriate. It also keeps the student aware of their own behavior. It is noteworthy that old technology can be modified and new technology is built to provide an eye-to-eye experience, which can improve the connected dialogue between student and professor. Using a teleprompter to display students' images in front of a webcam or buying a mini webcam that hangs down onto the screen, such as CenterCam, a professor can observe the student while making eye contact. Pro tip: having a meet the family or meet the student's family meeting early in the doctoral process can create connection and a family as a team dynamic. Families gain some clarity about the seriousness of the student's endeavor, and they meet the infamous chair, who will likely be praised and cursed throughout the dissertation journey.
When communication breaks down, use your cell phone, use your landline, whatever it takes, or hop on Zoom. But if Zoom's not available, use the phone. When you're not near a computer and want a quick chat, pick up the phone and try to humanize the experience. I even do walk and talks with students sometimes when I don't need to be looking at a screen or a document, and so I can get some exercise while I discuss something with the student. I text and use messaging services cautiously because sometimes that can be perceived as softened boundaries. Be careful what you send. Overall, create an online presence. It can invigorate a community feeling and a culture that can be helpful for students' engagement and connection.
Finally, attending graduation together is an invaluable experience to acknowledge and process the successfully completed doctorate. In addition to the hooding experience, it is sometimes the only time that an online professor will be physically with their student. Make the most of the time together by scheduling a meet and greet with the student and their family. Take pictures with them. Make plans to work with them to publish their dissertation in a journal, to develop new research, or discuss career opportunities.
Connection is essential to the doctoral experience success and to the long-term relationship that a professor and their university's relationship is with the student. Indeed, a solid, healthy relationship between the student and professor, especially when continued post-graduation, can lead to more success for the student and increased likelihood of students giving back in the form of scholarships, endowments, and referrals. The macro meanings or takeaways from this presentation are to create a strategic system for success, build culture and community, develop the whole student, a moral, ethical leader of character, buy into what you are selling. Passion is contagious. Be efficient and effective. Connection cannot be conjured with casual caring. So show the students you care. Thank you.
Thank you.